Well, at this point, we are roughly 5 months away from the Republican primary, where voters will determine their Republican nominee for the presidential election in 2024. But it's now becoming clear that Vivek Ramaswamy, the rising Republican candidate, is becoming a rapid threat to the more established Republican figures in the race. In a recent poll by Morning Consult, Ramaswamy is one of two candidates who saw an increase of support after the first Republican presidential debate last Thursday. And here to further discuss the GOP race is Hogan Gidley, former deputy press secretary for the Trump administration and current director of the Center for Election Integrity. Great to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate the time. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So it seems Ramaswamy is campaigning on the same ideologies as former President Trump. There's this idea out there that his popularity continues to propel him as the younger Trump candidate without the legal baggage. What do you make of that assessment?
Well, every single candidate on that debate stage is trying to run in that same lane of I'm Trump's policies without his personality. The difference is how they go about expressing their views. Ramaswamy decided to be combative. He decided to go with the rest of the field. And what was shocking to me at the outset was DeSantis wasn't the target of everyone else. It was Vivek. And one of the reasons why, I think, is because the internal polling of these campaigns clearly shows that the Vivek bump is real. People are taking a look at it. I would also argue, having done this now for 25 years in various forms and fashions in presidential politics, I'll use a Southern hunting euphemism for you here, and that is it's the turkey with his head raised gets shot. So when you start to rise up in the polls and when you start to gain popularity, people start to look at you. Everyone else comes at you hard because they want to prevent you from climbing that ladder and getting close to Trump. It's a 50-point, 40-point difference between the field and Donald Trump. And so climbing that ladder rung by rung is going to take some time. Vivek got everything I think he wanted from that debate, which was he wanted to be the lightning rod. He wanted to be the target. And that's what he got.
Oh, and he's certainly left with the spotlight. You can't argue that. So let's pivot now to the front-running Republican candidate, former President Trump. Today, his lawyers will be in Washington, D.C. in a federal case that accuses him of trying to overturn the 2020 election results. So the judge saying this morning she will not wait until 2026 for the trial, 2026. What are the chances these challenges will impact his likelihood to win the nomination overall?
Right now, it doesn't seem likely it's going to impact them at all. I mean, where we stand now, things could change. We've got a long way to go until January when people start voting in Iowa, for example. But I mean, he raised $7 million off of this. I mean, it's pretty clear that when you saw that mugshot, that was the face of someone who was resolute. He was determined, and they didn't have to do that. That was clearly vindictive because you need those mugshots so that no one leaves the country or you can recognize them. He's the most recognizable person on the planet. But more than just that petty nature of what occurred there, he really embodies, he's the tip of the spear of everyone in this country who's been attacked by a weaponized government for simply liking the wrong tweet or downloading the wrong podcast or attending the wrong speech. People are being attacked out there in this country. So it's not just Donald Trump, it's a lot of other folks. And he embodies not just that anger, but he embodies kind of the first line of defense. And he just so happens to have the bully pulpit. He has the platform, he has the podium, and so he can kind of speak on behalf of so many. And the line I'll end with is the one he gave in Erie, Pennsylvania, when he said, "They're not indicting me, they're indicting you." That's the right message and the right tone for him to strike, and it's very popular amongst the base.
Well, and it seems to be echoed by his allies as well. So staying on Trump, his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, is currently trying to get his Georgia election case transferred to a federal court. What do you believe, Hogan, are the political implications of that moving forward? We talked about some of the implications earlier with Robert Sherman.
Yeah, and listen, I heard the reporting. It was good. I worked with Mark. He was my boss there for a little bit as chief of staff in the White House before I went to the campaign. But I think the main problem with all of these cases, for the most part, is not the merits of the case. It seems as though everyone from right, left, and center of attorneys say, hey, there are some problems here. We can't really connect the dots of the charges. What I hear from people like Turley, Jonathan Turley, and obviously Alan Dershowitz, someone I worked with during impeachment, is that the venue here is a problem. It's pretty clear Mark Meadows has recognized that and said, look, I don't want to just focus on the state, county, local area. I want to expand the potential jury pool out here. Not to mention I want this stuff thrown out because all I did was make a phone call and ask for a phone number, which, of course, isn't really a problem, I don't think, legally, last time I checked anyway. But the fact that these cases are in like Washington, D.C., where 92% of the people voted for Biden, 5% for Donald Trump, obviously Fulton County, a problem, heavily Democrat areas like that, and New York City, obviously somewhere that Donald Trump isn't popular necessarily with the potential jury pool there. So for me, that tends to be the biggest issue, and I imagine that'll be some of the biggest fights as well.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.